ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Logitech G, Pay Safeguard, thescoreesports.com, G2A, NVIDIA, and ESEA.
Hello and welcome to another episode. Oh, I just said episode. I said I was going to do it. I was thinking, you know what? Because we've done it so much recently, it could be episodes. Hello, welcome to another episode of ESL Pro League. I'm Alex Machine Richardson, Season 1, you're right. Matchday, no, are we at 1920 now? We've got Halvor Vendetta Gullestol hanging out with me, and it is still just the two of us. We've got two over at the casting desk as well, and we're going to make it if we try. But we've got to go ahead and recap what happened yesterday before we even touch on the entire 6 games we're bringing you today. So, yesterday there were 6 games played. It's match day 19 today, Halvor. I was close. But we do see, of course, mousesports. We actually saw them pick up 2 wins against FaZe, albeit under slightly questionable circumstances sometimes during connections for FaZe. But alongside that, we also got to see more from Fnatic and Dig.
Yeah, we definitely did. Fnatic kind of showing up in the form you would expect a returning champion or the #1 team in the world, right? Right, leading up to a major. So pretty dominant wins. Dignitas not quite finding their groove, but if you're going to do that versus any team, probably not Fnatic the best choice to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, when you're in a slump, it's really not an ideal opponent. You want to find a little bit of footing, and Fnatic just did not give them a chance. We closed out the day with NIP SK, and this one actually surprised us going in towards Mirage. After seeing the Cash performance, we doubted the Danes. However, they put up a sterling performance on Mirage, seeing NIP forced into a kind of survival mode in overtime just to pick up that win. However, NIP picking up 2 wins does put them in a very comfortable position over in the standings now. 12 wins under their belt, 2 losses, and you can see them there now. Top of the table, snatching that top spot away from G2 due to the sheer amount of games that G2 have played. But does that read predictably to you, Halvor, or is there any surprising names at the top?
I think the two, #1 and 2, pretty surprising. Obviously, G2 have had a pretty impressive streak as of late, I guess these last 2 weeks, because they've been playing a ton of games and actually getting out ahead in most of them. NIP obviously just continuing that good form, especially capping that off with a win against Fnatic, which not many teams can say they've done as of late. Fnatic and Astralis to be expected towards the top. I guess the most interesting thing right here is the middle part. So you got the teams between 5th and 7th spot, which is mousesports, Navi, and Envy. That can get really interesting as we lead, closer towards the end of the season. And Navi, well, I guess all of those teams are pretty much in dire need of wins if they actually want to have a shot at that 4th spot for a LAN playoff.
Do you know who else is in dire need of wins? That team at the bottom, 0-6 Flipside. And that's actually the game we're going to be starting our day with. Let's go ahead and go through all of the games, though, that we're going to be kicking off with. It's going to be a start with Flipside. We're going to end with a couple of Danish teams battling it out. But first, we are going to be seeing Mouse and Flip clash on both Overpass and Cobble. Then the second games are going to be very, very interesting. A lot of criticism has been thrown the way of Envy recently after a couple of almost last place finishes in offline events, going up against Navi, a team who have been really battling for that and kind of claiming that second best in the world spot. But you can see those Danes, I mentioned them before, it is going to be very exciting, sometimes home to surprising results in domestic matchups, Halvor.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually really excited for that for those last 2 maps there. Astralis have been, one of the stronger teams as of late. Went through a bit of a hiccup versus Navi in the counter finals, but overall, one of the better performing teams. And you can tell it. They're 11-2 in Pro League so far. They want to continue that trend. Dignitas obviously want to get out of their slump. And I think, we often talk about, you want to play a team that you can find your footing to break out of that slump and actually have a good result that you can be happy with. Astralis, no slouches by any means, but it's the domestic factor that could make things a tiny bit easier for Dignitas. And if not a win necessarily. They can get a closer result and actually make Astralis work pretty heavily for it.
And give them a little bit more kind of comfort. I think they're definitely in need of that at this point. Definitely. But yeah, we should turn our attention to our first game. We don't have an abundance of time to talk about it, but it is going to be mousesports Flipside. I want to focus on Flipside because we've seen a lot of mouse recently. So we'll just start with Flipside, which actually, if any of you guys have been kind of sticking to CS, having that lazy Sunday feet on the couch, watching Counter-Strike, you may have been catching the Malmo qualifiers, of course, for that DreamHack event that isn't too far away. And we actually saw Flipside recently get knocked out of that one by, I believe it was Ancients 2-0, and not even close to 2-0s either. So off the back of a harrowing loss, taking their chances of competing for $250,000 away.
Yeah, they got as far as they did last time in the first qualifier. Yeah, unfortunately enough, so they do well up until that point, and I think they actually beat Ancients in the previous qualifier, if I'm not mistaken. So this was a bit of a revenge game for Pronax and his guys. Obviously not the kind of warm-up you want to get going into these Pro League games, especially knowing the kind of position you're in, because at this point, who does Flipside have left to phase that they can actually take a map off of, right? It's starting to thin out what kind of teams, because you don't expect Flipside to take a map off of Fnatic or Astralis, those kind of teams, right? So going up against mousesports, who have been very up and down. Would you not say they're
up and up now? Like, I mean, G2, a win against G2, a win against FaZe.
Well, yeah, but think about it, like, they could have very easily lost both maps versus FaZe, right?
Yeah.
And especially given how the Dust 2 game was FaZe playing with their manager, or coach, I should say, Robin, for the better part of the game, doesn't, build your confidence in that team.
Absolutely.
So they still have, quite a bit of work to figure out before that major, but still, they should be favorites going into this matchup with Flipside, but Flipside has to look at this as one of the few opportunities they have left to actually at least get equal to Virtus Pro, because that's who they're fighting for, right?
That's like their primary objective at this point. I mean, to be fair, Flipside's primary objective at this point is picking up a win. I mean,
you got to start somewhere.
Got to start somewhere. You need to get that one. I mean, that's kind of harrowing to see 0-6. Of course, that isn't. I mean, if you look at NIP, they've played now 14 games. Yeah. Flipside just 6. They've got a whole lot more.
Virtus Pro played, what, 16?
Yeah, a lot. And they are not in a great spot. We are all aware of the Virtus Pro factor. However, we're going to avoid that discussion for now because it's kind of a bit of a dead horse and we've been beating it absolutely to death. It's a dead horse and we beat it to death. Very, very impressive that we've managed to do that. We killed it twice, actually. We put its spirit back into its body, then we killed it again, and that's why we're not talking about Virtus Pro. Instead, we do need to talk about this whole kind of, these individuals within Flipside, right? Because it's been a roster that's kind of, it's been very, very mixed success. I mean, whenever I think Flipside, I also think about the fact that Markloff has been in every single major. He's managed to qualify for every single major, and a lot of that has been with this kind of Flipside name. But then alongside it, you now see a player like World Edit, who a lot of people are kind of criticizing. He's been kind of ripped apart recently. His stats do show that he's been having a bit of a slump, especially even that game against Ancients. We saw him was on a 0.7 KD. He's not delivering. And when you actually look at the stats, it correlates with World Edit having a good game and Flipside succeeding.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's one of those things where I'm like, you can't be slumping. A player like that can't be slumping.
No, and I guess that's why you see Flipside kind of being on the cut, a tier 2 team.
Yeah.
That's just very, very content with being a tier 2 team, that type of thing. Because you have to find that consistency with your best players to actually have success in order to rise in the ranks. If World Edit's going to have up and down performances, and that's how Flipside are going to do. I will say that some players on their team, like Shara and Markloff, have been playing more consistently. So they're getting a tiny bit more help out there. Bondix just playing his consistent, solid self, right? Giving the normally good performances coming out of him, but it's going to be on World Edit as it has been for the most part. And you saw that versus Navi at Counterpit as well. Like when World Edit gets going, he can actually go head-to-head with Guardian for the better part of at least one map, which is going to do wonders for you. But if he falls off, then all of a sudden it becomes brutality.
Yeah, I mean, I can't help but feel like we are kind of setting Flipside up to fail coming into this one. We are, and I think it's hard to ignore that.
I think, well, if you want to look at the positives for Flipside,
Give me my silver linings, Vendetta. I'm ready.
You've got Overpass.
Nice.
Pretty good map for Flipside, or can be a pretty good map, I should say.
They play it versus Navi. Am I making that up?
Yes, that's the map they won, and World Edit dominating. So they have definitely shown that they know how to play Overpass. They have a really solid T side, CT side. Have something left to be wanted, but still definitely impressive beating Navi on an offline or in an offline environment. on that map. And second up, we have Cobblestone, which is one of the better maps for Flipside if they actually get off to the start they want. And again, it's their T side where they do most of their work. They have not that many strategies. They have 3 to 4 different types of setups or executions that they like to run a lot, but they're very well drilled. Okay. Very well thought out, and as long as teams haven't put too much time into looking at what Flipside do on these maps, then they can be very effective.
What's springing to mind when you talk about these very set strategies? Is it kind of like just basically very basic smokes strategies on towards the site, like executes?
Not necessarily the fact that they're so basic. It's just that they're very easy to recognize, especially when you're watching it. With your overview map up, you're going to see the same people do the same things from their default setup on their T sides most of the time, and it's going to be a rinse repeat of that, and then you'll see small deviations from their basic setup, and that's going to decide whether or not it's going to be a B split or a mid to B split, take, that type of thing, and that's pretty much how they work off of. But you can't really fault them. A lot of teams do that. Na'Vi have a kind of similar tendency, and that's why people feel it's so hard to play Na'Vi, right? Because they're going to set up like this, but they've also covered all their bases, so you can't really interrupt what they're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, another discussion topic is, I mean, we are hammering home about Flipside, but just kind of quickly about this Shara character.
Yeah.
Because I was a firm believer in Davcost. He was never officially a member of the team, right? Or maybe at one point he did kind of take that role.
For a short while, but it was really
it was a bit of a weird kind of situation where he was a stand-in, but he was a stand-in for like 5-6 months, if not longer, in fact. But we saw him basically kind of arrive in Katowice and deliver to an extent, and continue to be this kind of this fifth man, this kind of like we still haven't decided if we like you enough to be in the team kind of thing. Yeah. And now Shara's come in as basically a Davcost replacement, and I don't really feel like he's doing more than Davcost was already delivering.
Might not be the case of him doing more in terms of just delivering kills or stuff that shows up on the scoreboard, but if it's impossible for us to know. But if morale within the team or just the team feeling or team spirit, to be as cliche as possible, isn't really there, and that improves with having Shara there. If he's a good guy to pick someone up or not drag people down when people make mistakes, or not get bogged down by his own mistakes either, because that's something players do as well. People get they're very self-critical, right? So if you mess up one round, if that's something that's going to really weigh in on you and actually affect the rest of your game, that's something that you have to deal with. And if Davcost just couldn't get over that kind of a hump, it's good to have Shara who can kind of brush it off and go back into to the next round and reset.
I do love these kind of discussions when you sit there and you're like we have no way of knowing, but it's a huge factor. It's something that doesn't show up on paper, right? Like the stats can only tell you so much.
Yeah, this is something you'd always only know by talking to the respective members actually and getting everyone's.
Which is why it's an absolute dream when you're at an event and you share either a hotel or you're in the same kind of green room with these players. You get so much unbelievable information that you just wouldn't be able to find on any website, and it's like,
especially when you liquor them up, right? Get all the
That's
secrets.
Yeah. Hey, you want another beer? Hey, Shara, come over here. Come on,
let's
get some Polish vodka in you.
Yeah.
But I mean, at this point in time, it is like we just want to. We can speculate till the cows go home about Flipside and this new roster, but. The be-all and end-all of it is they haven't picked up a win yet in the ESL Pro League. They did just lose out in the Malmö qualifiers. Things are looking bleak for them, but they're not alone in terms of things looking bleak for these teams. I mean, we've been saying the same story now for SK. We've been saying the same story now for Dignitas, albeit both those Danes as well. But they're not, it feels like there's quite a few teams on the decline recently.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that obviously when we talk about them being up and down, it doesn't necessarily only reflect what they've been doing in Pro League or what they've been doing outside, right? And that's again, it's something you're going to hammer on and on about, but it's consistency, right? Because you can see right now, for instance, Dignitas are in a very good position to actually qualify, right, for Malmö, which would be a pretty big plus.
I've got the brackets in front of me.
Pretty big positive, actually.
Where have they gone?
Yeah. So that already there, you're talking a pretty big positive, which is a stark contrast from what we've seen in the last 2 weeks or so from them. Otherwise, Flipside, not advancing in counterpit, but taking a map off of Na'Vi, which is better than what they've been doing in Pro League. And then you go back to that they've had okay performances in the Malmö qualifier, even though it hasn't gone all the way. But there is signs of life from most of these teams.
Oh, you're right, and I'm a bit dark and dreary sometimes with these outlook
but
of these teams.
But it is true because, I mean, sure, it's nice to do well in qualifiers, but if you don't qualify, ultimately you've failed.
Like, exactly. Yeah, okay, sure. And with these qualifiers, it comes down to, single elimination best of 3, right? And I'm looking over this, we saw Ancient, who are doing fantastic work. Of course, that's Pronax's new team with those. They got Twist,
Pauf,
Schneider,
Lekro,
Pauf, and
Schneider,
yeah. Strong team. And already they are now going up against Copenhagen Wolves, who beat G2.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And that was also a 3-mapper in the first qualifier because those two teams met each other in the first qualifier as well, with G2 coming out on top then.
So basically, the teams that are going to qualify now are either Dignitas, X-Vexed, SK, Copenhagen Wolves, or Ancient.
Yeah, so it's going to be Ancient or Copenhagen Wolves or one of the 3 or 4.
Yeah, one of those 3. Damn, okay. Well...
It's going to be pretty interesting to follow.
That's going to be very interesting to follow, and of course
Absolutely.
You can do so simultaneously, as the power of the internet enables you to do so. But our game is coming up very, very shortly. We talked about Overpass. Let's talk a little bit about Cobble.
Yeah.
Mousesports on the customs. Where are we feeling? Not the strongest string to their bow?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Yeah.
And you don't really feel confident when you see mousesports play a lot of these maps. Sometimes they have pretty good showings. You had Luminosity game at Katowice, which was really good up until 25th round, that type of thing.
Sigh.
Where everything fell apart. But other than that, they have shown signs of life. I think the Cobblestone match we saw them play, I think it was versus SK, wasn't it, when they split 1-1.
That's right.
Had actually a pretty promising start. Got off to, had a...
This is on the T side, though?
No, it had an okay T side, and I guess where they messed it up was the CT side, and you had that, I think it was a 2v1 situation with Nex and Spitty against, I want to say, Asilian, and they messed up, Spitty has a diffuse kit, Nex doesn't.
Oh, God, I remember that whole...
And that turns the tide.
Yeah.
Instead of SK being reset, they get a bunch of money, Mouse being reset.
Economy sometimes does seem to bite Mousesports more often than some other teams.
Yeah,
but,
and the weird part is that they don't get bitten by it in the sense that, let's say, an Envy would, because they consistently force buy.
And win force buys.
Well, yeah, they win as well, which helps, right?
A lot.
But, when you force buy unnecessarily or just do really weird buys and lose, that's not how Mousesport get their games out of their hands. They do it in a new, fascinating way.
They certainly do. And I mean, there's a lot of fascination surrounding Mousesports. Let's not forget that Deagle by Nico on his pistols. I know that's very eye-catching when it does happen. But, I mean, you've mentioned the trend there of, just in that SK game is a prime example of it, where Mousesports have been having a lack of success on their CT sides, but to the point where their T side is so good that they have what looks like they're so consistently coming back if they start on their CT side because they have these huge deficits that they then overcome. Like, it's not common to see a team that's so competent on T side and yet so sometimes kind of faltered on their CT. Yeah,
and that could come down to a lot of things. Oftentimes, teams struggle on CT sides because their communication isn't on par, which could make sense given how you have different nationalities in the Mousesports team. I mean, sure, Chris probably speaks German pretty fluently, even though he's from Holland. But then you have Nico, obviously, who's going to be the in-game leader and probably has a say in like what kind of rotations are made when and where. And with him being Bosnian, maybe not completely fluent, and we've seen that from like POVs as well, where just like all of a sudden he has to remind the Germans to be like, guys, can you keep it in English so I actually understand what's going on, that type of thing. That plays a big factor because if you're late with your rotations on CT side, everything just collapses and you end up in situations where you either have to go for miracle rounds where you hope to clutch every single time, or you just have to save and hope for a better day.
I mean, something that I always find really funny is when you've got a team with mixed nationalities, you're never gonna be able to track it. Cannot be quantified. But the idea is that something that could put your team on tilt is when you have people that speak different languages and then they vent their frustrations publicly using that language. Now, does this make sense to you? As in, like, you could be sitting there, there's two German teammates, and they have something to say about Nico. They can just very quickly mutter away in German, and you know what? Do you know what I mean? I think that could be a be-all and end-all of a team if you start getting away with stuff like that.
I would almost think it's the opposite way around.
Oh yeah?
To the point where, let's say I didn't speak English at all, and we were in a team. And you started cussing me off. I wouldn't know what you were saying.
So it's almost a good thing.
So as long as you don't actually mention my name within that rant you're on, I wouldn't know any better.
Yeah.
But I would be like, oh yeah, Alex just banning.
He's
all good.
I do like the idea though. Like you could have like, especially on CT sides, right? If you did have mixed nationalities, is you'd put the ones that can communicate better. Like this used to happen way back when I was competing in Call of Duty 4 Pro Mod. Is you'd put the two people that could actually play, like who had like this perfect comms. I think they were Czech at this time. So you're like, right, you defend this site, and they just talk in Czech, like mutter away, and then you put the people that can communicate on A as well.
Well, look at Fnatic.
Yeah.
Olaf
Okay.
Grims.
Just they've done it before. You
Yeah,
can stay together.
And even if you look at how mousesports play Cash, it's Nico on A alone.
Yeah, be like, you can't communicate with anyone. Stay on A. That's yours. Make this site your own.
Yeah, and then next hangs out in mid, and you because they have alternative setups on Cash as well. So sometimes you'll see 3 people, right? Like, well, Speedy, Chris, and
But
Dennis.
they've been doing this on B, right?
Yeah. So I guess they do separate each other every now and again, but. Yeah, I think for the better part, it's just slight errors that mess up their CT size. Because you saw versus Luminosity, again, just, they probably hate me for bringing this up over and over because that's just like a salt in the wound. But they had a pretty good CT side versus Luminosity, and that's no small feat because we know Luminosity is one of the stronger T sides just in general because of how solid tactics and how well their T play is, right?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big or pretty good sign for them. So they know they can. It's all just a matter of actually, ironing out those small errors.
Putting it into practice.
Yeah.
Talking of practice, we are actually waiting on mousesports to finish their practice. They were just based in the last couple of minutes of that, and that's why we are slightly delayed. They are joining the server now, so we can go ahead and jump into that very, very shortly. But you know what? They obviously got a couple of drills they had to run before they could get into this one.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Like we keep talking about how Flipside desperately needs wins, right? But if I don't think it's far-fetched to say that maybe mousesports has a shot at actually doing something. Top 4 could be rough, but at least they could ruin someone's day, right? Navi are the ones at the 5th spot with 8 and 4.
Yeah, my standings are absolutely flipping out right now.
But it could easily be well, that's just not right.
Okay. Well,
in any case, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're sitting at 5 and 7, right?
Yeah, and Navi are sitting at 8 and 4. So the gap isn't too big there. It doesn't take a lot of slip-ups from Navi to actually lose that foothold. And
Navi could have a double Fnatic game, and all of a sudden they're on 6.
Yeah, and now mousesports going up against Flipside could potentially be a 2-0.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we're looking at a 7-7 mousesports, and all of a sudden, it's pretty even.
Potential there.
Yeah. The only problem is that it's a bit of a jump up to Australis. So the top 4 is starting to look pretty comfortable. But still quite a few games to be played.
Yeah, we do talk about that top 4. In case anyone has just joined us again, we can look at those standings once more while we do wait for mousesports to load in. So let's just go ahead and get our head around those standings, because we talk about this comfortable top 4. Let's make it visual for you guys. There you can see those 40 people on those double digits wins. You can see double 12 for G2 and Ninjas, and then you got Fnatic and Australis down on 11. That's the comfortable that you were talking about, Halvor. But I mean, Navi and chomping at their heels. Envy could very well disappear if they continue this kind of.
I thought you were about to say that they could very easily, follow suit, but it was just no, disappear into the darkness.
A little bit of lack of faith in them. But of course, the 2 teams competing. Look at that number 12 spot, Flipside, and then right back in the center, mousesports are the 2 teams that are actually about and ready to begin. So we can go ahead and introduce your casting pair for our first game of our 6-game day. It is once again Pansy and Uber, and they're taking you into Overpass.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and a warm hello to everyone again for our second of these 2 days of ESL Pro League action. First game coming up here as well. 2 teams with a little bit of a history. If we throw it back to Ace Predator Masters, it was actually mousesports to beat Flipside to get the win. Flipside have only played 6 games, Lauren, but they have like a minus 47 round difference, and my math says they're losing by about 8 rounds a game here.
Was that the game where Markelov had to go home? It might be at the Ace Predator Masters because visa was running short. I may be wrong. I think it might have been that game. So, again, very hard to tell between some of these teams, like with the amount of random factors, let's call it, coming in. But yeah, these 2 have a lot to be fighting for. mousesports looking for a couple of wins to really bolster their numbers, whereas Flipside just need to get anything right now. It's simple as it is. Just dig deep and go for absolutely anything they can here. And yeah, Overpass being the map actually isn't a bad shout between these teams. I'm actually looking forward to it. The one player, again, harping on about it for me is did it. The guy needs to be consistent and he needs to be on point today. Back
at the Counterfeit Finals, this was that one map that they took away from Navi actually in that first round. 16-9 for Flipside. Yesterday, Dennis unhappy about his performance for mousesports, but we saw Nex and Chris J step up, and I thought that was a big part of what got them over the line against FaZe.
Well, the thing is, Chris J yesterday was like, I don't like your casting, Pansy, and I was like, oh, okay. And he wanted to hear more from Vendetta, so this is why he delayed us. It's a sneaky plan by Chris J.
We are going there.
I'm kidding. No, Chris J was just saying he'd like to hear more of Vendetta, which he now got. He got 15 minutes of pure Vendetta content.
That was solid.
It was good. It was good.
To be fair, good shout between those 2.
Yeah.
Thanks to Alex and Vendetta for giving us some good prelude to this one.
See, the one thing I would say, right, coming back to this matchup before I start, kicking off already, is the fact that I always look at Flipside as like the mini Na'Vi in a way. Not in the fact of results in any regard, but the way they play and the way they structure their team in that aspect. The thing is they don't quite have the firepower that Na'Vi has, of course, at their disposal. They can't just put a Guardian out there. They've got World Edit. It's like, okay, well, not quite comparable. There's no quite, not quite flamey there. And have to see if this works out, though, because Mouse have been actually beating Na'Vi a good couple of times as well, historically. So, again, mousesports on the CT side, T side will be Flipside, and we have a Molly on Blade.
It'll be interesting to see how he puts that one to use. At the moment, it's Bondic and Shara over at the B side. I'm looking at Shara right now as well. People weren't overly excited about him going into counterpit, but he showed up for Flipside in their first couple of games. So, it'll be interesting to see what he can do now. I mean, in this one. And I think he improved a bit. So, a lot of people were like, yeah, he's just not very good, but I understand my mic's a little bit peaky right now, guys, so hopefully we get that sorted in a sec. I'll probably get it back to front.
More than likely. We'll have to see how you sound. Maybe we just want more Mitch in our lives. It's always a nice benefit, but Spiddy will be playing on almost contact there. Going to have to be a little cautious, but Mouse are pretty much all in the right place at the right time. Flipside have not been too subtle about this, but there is that molly maybe to clear outside these corners. They do put it to use. So to the back of the side, not clearing out by Truck or over by Bank, and now it's going to allow Chris J a little bit of a peek. Does get a bit of information. Actually, Flipside struggling to breach onto the site here. Yeah,
that Molotov didn't really do too much there, as Chris J's able just to sit back on this one now and go back towards Bank. Now Bondic trying to pressure him as well, but Chris J with his second there as well. And make it 3. He's going to just continue to get it done. 4 for Chris J at the end of that one there as well. And I don't know, Flipside kind of just put the Molotov down and all it did was warm mousesports up there. I don't really see how that was supposed to cut people off from the site.
No, I didn't really like that. The placing on the molly was a bit awkward. I'd prefer it to maybe like the back of the truck or, into that close corner that can be a bit awkward. But, hindsight 2020 and all that jazz. But still, maybe could have been put to a bit of place, but it didn't really matter too much as Chris J will get straight onto the rifle here. No messing around. And actually the scout with Nico this time. So going to hand those duties over to him. Just going to pass the crown over to the young man himself. And now, Flipside, going to go for the armor, Tech 9s. Not too surprising. They didn't get the bomb down, did they? So, no. So, yeah, not too surprising going for the force.
Couldn't even go for that shore plant there. There was no smoke for them, just the Molotov. Well, did it in through Plaza, and actually Blade pushing a bit on long here. He hasn't run into anything. I'm surprised Nico actually didn't bother setting up here. Looks like it was more over towards B. Well, that it goes down. We'd already lost Chris J earlier on here, and side not committed yet. The bomb's still being left back way towards connector there as well. So they're looking to open things up, and Nico does find Blade, and Markelov will be caught there. Spiddy actually pressing forward briefly towards toilets, and a little bit of aggression goes a long way.
Yeah, and the important factor is that he recovered Chris J's M4 as well. Doesn't allow that to slip into the hands of Flipside, as well that it did find Chris J earlier. So well done by Spiddy to kind of have to push for a little bit, recover it, and bring him back into the fold. So now down to Bondic and Shara in a 2v4. No one's really actively playing on B. Dennis is watching the cross through, but no one's on the side itself, so they could maybe hop, skip, and a jump over towards the plant. But the longer this takes, the more mousesports will start thinking, okay, well, where are these guys? And as soon as Dennis sees them, it's going to be a little bit harder. But Shara going to try and bait out the shot, allow Bondic maybe to cross through here, but mousesports will be rotating as we speak.
Yeah, so much time there for mousesports to get into position. Nico initially was at upper, but he went over towards A. Now Dennis going to be pressing forward as well. He's got one player quickly. Spiddy, though, off towards the side, picked up Shara. Almost for a second thought it was Dennis, but it'll be a pretty straightforward defuse here from Nex. At least Flipside, though, get that bomb down with only 2 players.
Yeah, it's actually decent of them to get a plant. 2 players standing against 4, that's not too bad at all. They pretty much had to force up into that round. So now they've got the choice of just kind of like, what do we do this one? Minimal purchase, I can imagine. Maybe not as much armor to be seen here. Maybe just the Deagle's P250, a flash maybe, or something like that just to set them up somewhere. And again, if they get a plant this round, again, not too bad. They're keeping the economy relatively low for mousesports as well. They don't have like a super well grounded out kind of buy-up just yet, but Chris J back on the rifle as well. Spiddy, of course, retaining his from Chris J prior. So now they're just kind of bolstering the numbers.
After that little force, I guess, from Flipside, mousesports not in a hurry to trade up into those bigger guns just yet. There's going to be no armor whatsoever for Flipside as Dennis will press forward.
Yeah, there's a little danger in that no one's playing underpass. Christian and Spiddy were looking towards it, but now Dennis, his back's pretty open, so he has to be kind of careful here. He could be easily picked up by between maybe Bondic or Shara. Shara could bait that out and let Flipside get an SMG. It's not the biggest thing in the world, as that's pretty much what Dennis wants to do, is get the attention. Same with Nex probably, as they are the ones with the kind of throwaways here more than anything.
Dennis being sensible though, backed up to sandbags just in case there was a push out of underpass.
Are they boosting to try and get the pick towards him?
Through that window.
Yeah.
Bondic having a little bit of a look-see over here. He's actually not going to see Dennis because he's tucked himself around the corner now. It's going to force Bondic to come out, opening the door. There is a smoke on towards Sandbag here as well, but it's only Bondic and Markaloff. I think they're just trying to fire a few shots away, then rotate in towards the middle of the map, and that's where Welledit's pressing through toilets. Currently only Dennis taking a little bit of damage over on that B side there from the firing earlier on. The rest of mousesports looking pretty vital, and there's Nico going for the jump scout. Did connect that one. Bondic looking worse for wear, and cat's out the bag as well. He's seeing quite a few heads there, and he takes Sharas as well.
I really like Nico changed every single time he did that jump by even it's just a centimeter to not peek the exact same spot. Not going to hit the easy one, well, not easy shot, I guess, the shot on towards the flower bed there. So going to be relatively calm in this one. And actually, Spiddy's been picked up, and he was one of the players with the rifle. So that's a gun you don't want to be losing out on here. And now Chris J's getting tagged up. This is starting to look a bit more worrying, but Nex coming in with a cleaning crew, doing the damage and closing out with Deagle. So Nex again, starting to warm up well, and they didn't? Did they pick up the rifle then? Nico did. Okay. Yep. I was kind of like, Nex, why are you not doing this?
Yeah, and Nex banked a pretty nice amount after that round as well, about 8k, and he's actually still really going to stay with that UMP. So this is maybe slightly greedier from the man. He could have traded this one up quite easily. It's going to be a buy for Flipside, and they got a bit more than just one Molotov now as well to work on towards these sites. You saw the mousesports with Chris J, and Nex were able to keep Flipside from pressing forward towards A. Couldn't even get a sneaky little quick plant, as we often see. Usually smoke assisted though, and they had none of those. So Chris J now on long. Hoping to spot something out here as well as his mate Nex. Still with that UMP, at least he can play it up a little bit closer. And Flipside playing it slow. They're often doing this, they're often leaving the bomb in underpass and just spreading out, trying to get a pick. It's not going to be forthcoming.
It's kind of aggressive though from mousesports Hanoi, because Spiddy and Dennis have tried to actually keep control of underpass this time, rather than kind of negating it as Dennis last time went aggressive. But now Nex going to be trying to peek out. He gets the information towards Bondic. He is expendable at the moment, but not ideal, as now you're going to see Dennis kind of isolated. He's all alone, and Markelov's going to make the most of it, and that gives Flipside a great advantage. It's down to Nico and Chris, and they are on polar sites here, 1B, 1A. But that bomb's pretty far back. And it's going to take some time to actually choose this site. So, again, Chris J trying to find the info, trying to find a kill to get back into this one, and he gets it. Now a little cautious of long. Maybe someone's going to try and get the drop on him. But no one pushed through. Now he's going to go for the peek here. Got to be a little careful on it. Sees the fire.
Careful.
Great stuff from the Chris J there.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see Shara now pushing on towards Nico there as well. He was looking on towards Canals, and this is going to force a rotation from Chris J. Lauren, you called it. Dennis and Spiddy going aggressive in underpass, and Next with nothing but a UMP and toilet block. Chris J, though, at least can get rid of Shara.
The bomb's not crossed.
No, Markaloff actually has the smoke to flash this one out. Chris J coming forward here as well. Markaloff taking his sweet time in moving. You're not 100% sure where Chris J is. And Chris J gets the shot through the smoke as well, but he saw enough of Markaloff to make it happen. And now Bondic has to come forward and pick up the bomb. Chris J wants to try and shut him down. Those 3 kills for him already. Bondic will finish him off there. He just had to stay alive. 5 seconds left in the round, but he will fall. Flipside get there first.
That was almost so sick by Chris J. That was absolutely unreal. The first shot finding, I think that was Welledit towards Party, was absolutely nuts. And it was just, the way it completely panned out was absolutely sick. Almost catching that final player could have been amazing. But that does mean Flipside do get on the board. So another imperative part for them is the fact that they can start building up their money. And it was that maybe a little bit of a catch out here. And Chris J again going right back in on the peak here. A little bit of a late play from Markaloff as well, not going for the instant kind of presence towards underpass. Going to slowly build into this, kind of like with the rest of the team. You know, his blade can work up once that smoke goes, and he can clear out slowly. Shara can watch that push on B. Once all these pieces start going together slowly, maybe you can start taking that map control.
Chris J's been looking rejuvenated since yesterday. If you think back to his play on Dust as well, the aggression from him was just sick. And it's good to see him now taking some of those chances. Flip side as well. Looks like he's feeling confident to do just that. Set himself up in underpass, catches blade as he tries to push across, but Nex has traded in.
Again, Markaloff could be sat there like, why? Why did you do that? But yeah, again, stepping out like that, I guess you've got to risk one of the angles. There's always going to be a chance, but a little unfortunate, I guess, for Blade to walk right into that on Chris J. And now Flipside don't really have too much towards any of the sites itself. They're trying to still get map control on, what, 48 seconds? Kind of difficult in a 4v3 now, as Flipside have got Bondic again working up long, a pretty familiar site here. And you know, Vendetta says it on the desk that Flipside aren't the most creative team. They have good hits towards the site, but it is rinse and repeat. And Chris J is reading it like a book. Again, another kill for him. And normally it's the Nico show, but this time Chris J has been building up. And Speedy with a cute little angle there, just going to be holding that one. Perfect. But it does mean that Markaloff's going to slip around the side here. So it's going to be down to pretty much Chris J to hit that shot on long, which he does. He is the immovable object. Spots out another. Markaloff decapitates Chris, but in the end it was closed down. And again, big impact from Christian here. A player that we've been wanting to see consistency from, see that aggression from, and we're finally seeing it.
Couldn't save his AWP though. Might be a little bit of a problem there as Chris J was a little bit too far back from the rest of his team as the round did end, but 11-3 for the man. Nico actually getting shut down a little bit on B. When Flipside are pushing there, he seems to be a little bit quiet. In the last couple of times, he's been quite far forward towards Canal and actually looking for some targets to pick off.
Well, yeah, it's generally Shara just holding the rotate. As said, Flipside, once they see one side, generally they go for one side. They like the A push. They like to get Markelov working through underpass. This is something time and time again that happens. Christian doesn't have the drop this time, but Markelov looks away at the wrong time, and Christian's got the perfect weapon for this. Just be building up that bank. As you said, he didn't have the AWP before. Gifted this gun so he can start building up the economy, and you hit some nutty shots with the AWP, but you can't do that. Come on.
2 kills for Chris J at least with that UMP, so a little bit of a lesser
He
investment
did
from him in this round. As Flipside did draw their fair share of blood earlier on. Now it's next going to be sat with that P90 as well, with the push out. Going to be tricky for Flipside, but they have scavenged the UMP. See what Blade can actually do with this one now. Again, they're switching their focus in towards mid. It's going to be Spitty, again, who got bypassed last round, but Nico now is actually up on A as well. So he's switching positions with Chris J, and it seems to have worked out. Both Nico and Spitty combine, and they cut down Flipside as they try and even get remotely close to this A side. And maybe that's the problem here as well, is Flipside can't get close enough to lay a bunch of smokes down, even on their buy rounds, to even get a plant.
Well, you can... It's difficult for Flipside because their money's kind of shot, right? So you can't have the utility to kind of bully the CT side out of the toilets. You don't have an AWP to pick in towards it, so well done. It's kind of like, well, I guess I'm on the rifle, guys, yay.
Yep.
And if you keep trying to get A, of course it's going to be an issue. This is different, though. They're going towards B, but Chris J is in the right place at the right time, but he cannot hit the shot. Shara powers through. Dennis picks up the pieces, cuts down short, and now the push-through monster gets met by the biggest monster on this map, Nico picking up 3, and Flipside are in absolute dire straits. That is the power of Nico, though. The first time they really try and hit the B side in a full gun round, they just get shut the hell down.
Yeah, beautiful stuff from Nico there as well. And he seems to perform a lot better, actually, when Flipside have a stronger presence at B instead of just the 1 or 2 players that can pick Nico off from different angles. So he's lifted there in that round as well. Chris J trying to go for something rather pretty here as well, but this is Dennis, of course, just cleaning up after that one. The Molotov going down. Claims Bondic as well. When you've got Flash, Smoke, and Molotov behind the smoke in that tunnel, super, super dangerous. And you can see that Flipside had to give into that one. 6-1 for mousesports as well. And Flipside, well, this game going in similar fashion to their previous ones. And today's been a tough day for them as well, losing out to Ancient in 2 maps. Wasn't pretty for them at all. Now, mousesports want to compound some of those issues here as well, but Chris J missing 2 shots. Spitty took a bit of damage there as well. He wants to back up to A, and this is what Flipside have been trying to do, but they don't have the guns to really carry it out. And Spitty can step back and just put a bullet in Blade's head.
I want Flipside to almost, not necessarily call a pause, but take one of these rounds to just discuss. This is pretty much a throwaway round. I really want them just to take a time out and discuss it. Like, how can we approach this? How do we get Chris J stop being aggressive? How does that work? Is there a way we can do this? Can we get control somewhere on the map? Because it actually didn't go too badly when they were able to punish the play towards kind of connector and such. But they're just really kind of running into the meat grinder, and Mouse is solid on this map, and this is the thing. Again, you look at Flipside as like the younger brother of Na'Vi sometimes in that playstyle, but when mousesports can beat the big brother, it's kind of like, okay, well, we've got to find something really special here. And really, at the moment, they're just finding the end of Nico's barrel. So really, it comes down to what can they do now. I want to see more hits towards B, personally. I'd love to see that. Get some control towards underpass, maybe, hold water, play through monster, but then it's like, okay, well, can we take over Nico? Next big thing. But now they're on the full buy. I have a horrible feeling they go straight back to that. Let's try and get A, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's see if there's variation in Flipside.
It was even worse when they tried all the push-through monster as well in towards Nico. And like many teams before them, Flipside might consider just trying to avoid Nico in general. But how easy is that going to be? We actually see an aggressive setup here for mousesports. They're pushing deep on long. Chris J being flanked by Nex and Spitty. So safety for the man as well. He can catch Flipside sort of mid-stride as they try and approach here.
Again, Blade will generally go towards long pretty late into the round once they get control of party. So Chris J needs to be here for another maybe 15 seconds, maybe 20 before they even consider it. They're going to hear these steps. Blade's not being subtle. They're going to get control here. So this is going to be an awkward take, though. There's no one actually on the A site at the moment.
The smoke in toilet is actually really important. Flipside can, for now, bypass those 3 mousesports players, but there's Chris J pushing a long way forward, does get well at it. Now, does this promote Flipside to move forward through Plaza? Eventually, yes. Maybe not as fast as we would have expected here. Blade's going to run into trouble. His Nex is going to make his way back, and Nico may have to rotate himself soon.
again, if Flipside only knew where Mouse were, they could have exploited the fact they were all on long so much quicker, but they've slowed down now. And actually, mousesports have been able to pull themselves back away from long. Chris J is going for these super aggressive shots, and he's going to adjust almost towards Blade, but Blade stays alive. Molly start coming in. This is the full Molly strat almost, or at least a lot of Mollies, but Nex is just lining them up and knocking them down. That's sick stuff from Nex. No one actually taking fights. They're all just setting up for the smokes and Mollies. And now Markelov and Bondik, the last two alive. Spitty on the rotates, caught out Markelov, and now Bondik 1v4. Bomb in the clasp of mousesports, and I think he knows that this one is pretty much over.
Pretty underwhelming, actually, the way we hyped that round up for Flipside. You know, that one smoke in towards Toilet actually was all they needed to get on towards the A site. Unfortunately, they didn't capitalize on that. Maybe they didn't have enough information, and they just stalled out. And then Next came around from long, the one area that they didn't smoke off when they got to A, and he punished them for it.
I wonder if they're doing that smoke from spawn. I'm wondering if the T side are. I'm going to keep a look on them as Rush ignores me all the time. It's really rude. Well, they're not doing it this round, so it could be the one that's just closer enough to the wall. It doesn't have to be a particularly fancy one. But I actually like the way they do it from the stairs and spawn and it goes right over. It gives you so much more room to breathe because it allows people like Speedy to be cut off. You don't have to be challenged and instantly see in a party. But again, Flipside this time going to be trying to clear close. But then foregoing any control into the bathrooms, and they're leaving people able to flank like this. No one even controlling Spitty, and Spitty's been let off the leash here.
All game, pretty much. Spitty's been able to do this. He sat in Toilet. Now Bondik very, very low around the corner. Flipside have no utility to work this one off, but at least Bondik does get the kill. That's the first mousesports player to drop this round. And Chris J is just going to sit back on this one. Smoke towards long. A Molotov as well to continue to slow Flipside up, who, conversely, don't have the utility to press this site, but I guess they're going to do it the old-fashioned way. Well, then it comes through, deletes Chris J with a bit of smoke in front of him. In a second as well, mousesports want to stall, set up to hold this site. Flipside ready to pull the trigger. Markelov actually getting Dennis and Nex. Dennis was blocked by Nex in front of him, was unable to take the shot. That's a big error.
But it's Nico left. There's always a chance when it's Nico. 1v3 is, however, a big task. He can molly out one of these corners. He's chosen site to push the player off. You can assume if there's anyone there. They've crossed towards long, but nice position from WildEdit to watch the cross, pick up the AWP as well. And really, what was the difference there? Chris J, I don't know how he didn't hit that shot on long, because it actually looked really pretty much on.
He hits the freakish ones, but when it comes to holding a line while he's moving, I guess it's a little bit
It looked
trickier.
spot on, which is weird to me. Maybe if we watched it back, it probably wasn't. But, you know, in the blink of an eye, like, huh? But now we're going to see Nico and Chris J with the AWP. So we're going to get the double AWP set up. Nico's probably going to take his over towards B. No, he's going to be boosted up and over to keep control on this. And actually, Shara could be in trouble. No, well timed on the flashes there to take control. And Flipside looking for something different. This is nice, but it's not gone too well.
Chris J still managed to mangle Markelov there, as well as mousesports coming in with the double AWP setup. And it was Chris J towards mid. Again, this incredibly aggressive positioning for, well, a player who's been a bit of a maverick yesterday and today. Shows no signs of slowing down. And again, it's Flipside slowly inching their way forward as well. But, you know, it always seems to fall apart through Plaza and Toilet there as well. They need to address Spitty and wipe him out before they even start thinking about it. They need to know that he's going to be here on either side of this wall each round. And Blade this time looking for him, but there's a bit of smoke in the way. Chris J will be back at A as well to cover. And Nico pulling back a bit on B.
I'm trying to remember if it was Flipside who played against G2 on this map recently, and it was always Flipside leaving the bomb all the way back by T-spawn. And it got caught out so many times. And it might have been, you can prove me wrong, I'll check after this game, but again, they're kind of leaving it at spawn at the moment. It's costing so much time. They do like these slow plays, but it's not ideal, and they're going to have to be taking on Dennis, who's down by the site, kind of like playing by water, and I think Nico's watching that CT cross. So a good little crossfire still set in place, but they do have utility to block these guys off if they want to, but you can just walk up there, Blade. That was a great idea. Nico just absolutely destroys you. You can see WildEdit trying to crouch under. Good positioning. Well read by WildEdit. Now into a 3v4. Mouse will still have the upper hand, but the bomb site is Flipside's.
Bonnik now going to make his way through as well. He's been able to penetrate through A. And might be able to catch Spitty here. He does. He goes down. Now Bonnik has control of upper. This is incredible.
The sandwich in.
We should be able to shoot down on towards Pit now as well. Next trying to fire at Shara. Bonnik gets one. Almost fluffs that one as well. The bomb ticking away. Flipside have control as well. Bonnik, great flash in as well. Easy pick up on towards Dennis. And Chris J on towards the side now. No choice but to press forward. He misses that important shot. WildEdit gets a second lease on life. Make it a third one here as well. Chris J, sometimes he's connecting him, every one of them. Sometimes just whiffing him. He's going to back away now as well and hold on to that AWP. That bomb is going to go.
Exactly. Chris J gonna hold the push out, and actually could catch Wadded here, who's just seemed to forget that Chris J... To be fair, Chris J said I could flame him, but you know what? That's too easy. That's
It's unfortunate for him there as well. Yeah.
it's just like, oh, poor guy.
Maybe he's just unsettled as well, because we keep seeing him like straining at his bonds, as it were, pushing so far forward, going in towards underpass with an AWP, pushing party. I guess maybe he's a little bit too excited. Maybe a deep breath and just a step back might do him a few favours here as well. But he's got himself an AWP this round. Rebuys that one. Nico has one as well. And again, Chris J getting aggressive in towards the middle of the map.
He's going to hear these pre-nades. He doesn't fancy his chances in that one, wants to back away. Nothing wrong with that as well. We saw that maybe the over-aggression could be a hindrance in this. And again, Flipside like to take their time to even get control here. So he really would be walking into them holding pretty much the push towards party and such. And Blade's actually predicting something similar to Chris's spot. So that flash would have been spot on, but well turned by Chris. Takes the pick perfectly towards Blade. And again, Flipside operating at a loss already.
mousesports just carve a little bit off the Flipside, then step back on it as well. They're happy to play this slow game, and this is why Flipside sometimes have been called mini Na'Vi. It's the way that they try and approach these rounds. The difference is, I guess, is the execution here. It's Flipside maybe wait a little bit too long and aren't able to get it done when it comes to the crunch. Well, Edit will be looking straight down long here, and Chris J may go for a peek a little bit later on. He just wants to see if anyone's boosted up there. No one going to be forthcoming as Flipside again. This seems to have been their default. They're a bit of their bread and butter in the last few T-side rounds, just try and work in through toilet block in mid. And Spitty again will be there, and then they got to know that by now. Chris J can cover him just so well from here. It's a good setup. Spitty awaits Flipside to show around this corner.
I don't think Wada is pre-spotting this. Now he's going to see the shoulder though, but Spitty just walks right in between a rock and a hard place. And Chris missing the close, easy shot. I guess you can't call it easy at this point, but the sitter in comparison to some of the others. Now Dennis around the back, Nico in front. Can they do the damage? Nico's gone down, and Well Dead it will land the shot in the end. So Flipside starting to carve some rounds into this 8-4. It's not the best score in the world. Again, mousesports, the T-sides have been pretty deadly. At least if you let Nico off the chain, they can be very, very proficient on it, so it's going to be very hard, I feel, if Flipside don't get a couple more. Yeah,
I mean, the Nico lurk is never going to be as pronounced on mousesports' CT side, and actually it's kind of been their problem. If you think about it yesterday, another comeback from being 3-12 down on their CT. So definitely, I wouldn't say that's where mousesports' forte lies at the moment. The ability to use Nico, I guess, on his own, definitely giving him a lot of rounds here as well. And you can see now they're just going to force up into a couple. He's second last round of the half there, but Shara are going to punish Dennis for looking for a kill here. Markeloff in underpass. He should be able to get the jump on Chris J, and he does easily enough. But next picks up Shara over on the B side. Markeloff able just to steamroll his way through mid, and there's Bondig. Last round he was great, by the way. Capitalised on 2 mistakes from Spitty and Chris J. This time, though, shoes on the other foot. Next going to send him packing, and sometimes I just like to throw the Caster's Curse in here and there just to make it a more interesting round.
I thought that's it. You just put all your skins on mousesports, and you can't bear to watch it happen, so you just throw that curse around.
Honestly, I'm glad I don't bet skins, because I would have nothing.
I wish you were allowed to. I miss making money. I just don't get that sick Skrilla anymore, Mitch. It's lacking in my life.
Conflict of interest, something.
Yeah, something like that. Don't know.
Just these really
I think it's just because I was actually too sick at it. You know what I mean? Just absolutely nuts.
Or then there's Phil, who he didn't even play CS before he came here. He's that Call of Duty caster. Won a Faucian knife on some betting site by just betting on a random game. So life isn't fair sometimes.
The dream. But this round is done. It's a matter of keeping hold of the weapons. Money was not great for mousesports. They were on an eco, so next keeping this is a pretty good shout. And Flipside, they could do with keeping these guns because there's a fair bit of utility to supplement them as well.
Yeah, I think even had World Edit lost his AWP, he'd be able to have one next round either way, so I don't think Next really wants to look for too much more. 3 kills for him, though. Not too shabby. It was quite a conservative round for mousesports in terms of what they bought, so there's a full buy. They can have exactly what they want, except for maybe Chris J might have to be dropped or something similar. He does. Spitty will buy up for him. Lad.
Aww.
Lad out of 10. But again, decent amount of utility here for them. Just single AWP, though, this time for mousesports. Is Nico going to be back on that rifle? He's proficient, obviously, in both. And Chris J, despite a couple average rounds, he's still sitting at 17-9 right now. So, good performance, but just a couple missing those shots that should be your bread and butter,
Yeah, and it's okay, though, at the end of the day. As you said, overall, Chris J's performance has been a really interesting sight here on the CT side. Normally quite quiet in comparison to this. But again, I'm looking forward to this hit. Flipside finally find the B site. It's the first time in a while. Again, on the full buy, he's going to go in. Nico's not going to get the drop on them. Smoke out, molly out. They've got them in a really nice spot. Good work from Blade to get them some control on the site. Smoke wall goes up. Again, this is well constructed, but they need to get that plant and they need to avoid Nico walking in and just dismantling this lovely place round. Dennis is now infiltrated, but Nico has not stopped.
Sometimes avoiding Nico is just not really an option there. And now Markov and Bondic scratching their heads, wondering how they managed to lose that one out there, as well as, you know, Dennis came forward aggressively as well, and he still managed to get away with it. Now it's just the 2 players left for Flipside tactics here. Bondic wants to press forward as well. Did see the head of Dennis briefly, but they'll be able to put some smoke down and back away. 50 seconds are left in the round. Now, 3 flashes, a smoke, and a Molotov generally available for Flipside here. Markov and Bondic are fairly helpful, but they've got an entire team of Flipside to go up, mousesports to go up against here as well. Nico again, that is his 4th for the round. He's an absolute beast right now, looking for the ace, but Bondic will shut him down. No 007 for this man this game, but hasn't been quite enough to drag his team through these rounds. And now, don't you dare, Chris
Cheater.
J. Don't you dare.
Online J's back again.
Don't you do it.
Oh, Jesus.
And Bondic now just trying to get a bit of information. Bit of wallbang through the wall. Chris J can quite easily reciprocate as well. That's the danger. Bondic on 2 frags this round. Going to get double peeked into this one. Finds the head of Spitty though. Next will shut him down, and that will bring us a little bit closer to our half-time here. 9-5.
And after the whole Michael Ailey thing,
Oh,
like, I'm never
God.
doubting wall bang capabilities again, alright? There's things I just don't know. You could wall bang everything in this game, maybe that's it.
You don't watch enough Theorycraft, Lauren. I blame it.
You know what? I probably don't.
Anders will be very disappointed.
Anders is always disappointed in me. It's like a perpetual state of disappointment. But he's a lovely guy. I miss Anders. Pandas.
Pandas.
That's the best name combo. Apart from maybe...
Better than Puga, that's for sure.
yeah. Apart from D-Man and Semmler, there's a great combination you can have in that one.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that one until now, but... Oh my.
Oh my, yes. And I think Alex kind of like alluded to it at one point as well. It was very enjoyable. But pause comes out. It was a brief pause, bearing in mind we're back underway. So maybe a technical one more than anything at this point. Wouldn't be surprised. Unless that was just a really quick chat. Like, guys, pick it up. Unpause. Nice. Again, though, this is the long play from mousesports. I actually quite like this. Last time it was Chris J who found... I think it was World Edit who went towards long in these rounds and got picked up by Chris. So, not going to happen this time. Chris J going to back away. He's able to stay alive. Takes the repeat, takes the fight, and takes the kill. Already nicely done. And he does a backup in the form of, I believe, that's Spitty there, just buying some time, stopping Chris J being picked up in return. And now they can reset. Good work from Mouse.
Feel like Chris J is peeking corners with the AWP better than he's holding lines right now, which is quite a strange thing to see. But that pick for him as well, with World Edit out of the picture, is important. The AWPs had to go back over towards Bondic here, and there is a little bit to work with for Flipside if they want to make a little bit of further progress here. It was a smoke towards sandbags by mousesports there as well, just in case. The lurking Shara was wanting to get too close here, but it looks like he may actually back off and join the rest of his team here. That still has promoted Dennis and Nico over to that B side. And Markov as well will be joining up with Blade, who's over in the middle of the map here. So there's still that hurdle of getting past toilets here as well. And Spitty actually sitting well back this time. Mousesports giving up this central part of the map and sitting well back on A, playing far more defensively. And a slow-moving Flipside through this part of the map could be their undoing.
I actually like seeing CT aggression from mousesports. This is something we really compliment in other teams. But you don't see so much from a mouse. But that was a constructed round they clearly had in mind. Like, okay, well, this is how we want to do it. So that's enjoyable to watch. And now, as you said, Flipside taking their time on the build-up here. Very dug in mousesports side.
Yeah.
Spitty's going to be the one to face this. He's got 2 players coming through. The Molly's going to force him out. He's got to take the fight soon.
Has to back away. Lucky there was some smoke there thrown. Yeah, only 8 seconds left. They've got to get a quick plant here. They might just do that, though, because they've shut Chris down, and there's Blade. Gets the bomb down with only a few seconds left in the round, and now Flipside just got to dig their heels in and hold on. But next, he's got other ideas. Shara hits the deck, but now Blade does respond as he's trying to make his way through the front door, but that bomb already down, and Flipside just need to switch gears right now. Sit back. Keep eyes over on that bomb itself. That's good work by Bondic there as well. Using that scavenge AWP, but next, might get the spray down. No, goes down to 20. Going to go for the Desert Eagle, but of course, Bondic is going to have to back away now because mousesports set up for a bit of a defuse situation. This could be dangerous, could be collateral as well as Bondic picks up next, and the attempt at a defuse may not be forthcoming by Spitty in any sort of period of time. The flash comes in over him. 3 health for Bondic, and he's just stalled it out long enough. Well played by him as well, just keeping his team in it.
And credit to Flipside in the end for stringing some decent rounds together. It felt like a long time coming. It felt like they kind of ran into a bit of a brick wall for quite some time, but here, there, and everywhere, they found occasions where they could do well. But the problem is this isn't just your regular team you're facing off against now. This is mousesports, and I guess in my mind, it's been their CT side that's been a bit of an issue, but their T side has been pretty devastating.
And we see there, Flipside managed to get that bomb plant as well. We said it as well, on the A site, obviously easy to plant, but both these sites require a degree of being committed to them. The Molotov was fairly standard thrown by Flipside, but this time there was actually a smoke towards Bank, which was really important because that way you can't just back away towards Bank, away from that Molotov and actually have a shot. Getting the quick plant and then backing off on it. And even Bondic as well. We saw World Editor drop very early on in the round, actually got wrecked by Chris J, but Bondic able to pick up the AWP and do the good job there as well. So well deserved there by Flipside, but now mousesports' vaunted T side is just around the corner. We've seen excellent things from them in the last few days. Let's see what they can pull off for us now. As Flipside with 6 rounds will be on the CT.
Yeah, Mouse's T side has been somewhat known, I guess. It's not too surprising as to what happens. Generally, it's Spitty with utility, and then they go towards Underpass in the pistol round. Whether or not they try it here, maybe different. I'm hoping they do. It's more like 4 down through Underpass. But if that changes, awesome. That's even more exciting. But it does seem relatively similar to what we've seen before. But it's fine. They overwhelm the players. They get the hit well. Done and dusted. But it's how they play out then with Nico being like the solo player. How does he come into the factor? So he normally lurks by himself over by B or on the polar side, and the other 4 players work on their own. So it's a really nice combination. And actually, that's exactly what's come through now. Is Nico's very late to come over and join the rest of Mouse, as they are already getting control towards toilets at the moment, actually Spitty being cautious of the back. So a really well constructed round so far, but they still need to make the hit.
Nico unchallenged, and even Shara firing at him wasn't enough of a challenge to slow him up there. He just gets completely decimated, and now Markelov has to hold B on his own.
Blades had to rotate, so this is an even bigger problem.
The threat
it's a
from
2-2
one
split.
player.
Yep. And if Nico makes more noise or just keeps him busy, it's a problem. They do get one back. Chris J gets found. So, again, Blade's going to get sprinting going. Guys, can we just please not fall for Nico? Just ignore him. Just pretend it's a glitch in the Matrix, because right now, the rest of mousesports, now joined by Nico, are going to make that hit towards A.
And Nico now joining back up with them. What do they have to work with to get on towards this side? It was a smoke thrown towards the back of A, but Bondic's able to take down Dennis here, and this is mousesports starting to run out of gas, run out of teammates as well, as it's just Nico left. Be able to reply back, and he does with a quick kill towards Blade, but 3 players standing for Flipside. And Bondic with the ace there as well, I've got to point out. Very, very, very solid from him, and he has been really dragging his team. Have a look at that. That's pretty ridiculous there.
That's how I feel playing matchmaking with Alex.
Bondic has the combined kill total of the rest of his team there, so that's just really, really impressive from him.
It's like everyone talks about the Nico carry, and it's just press tab. Oops. Bondic going sick. That's awesome to see. Again, if he's on point, this means that Flipside do need someone to be on point, though. They always need someone to kind of find their form. It's just normally it's Bondic being consistent, let alone absolutely nuts. Nico's Deagle will only catch out 1 this time, and Bondic is just adding insult to injury. 3 kills this round.
That's insane.
Is he looking for 4? He's not going to get 4. Well, then it will get 1. So he needs to build up the money for the AWP there. So actually nice of Bondic to gift over a kill to his teammates.
And you say that, but well, in the few rounds on the T side that he managed to get the AWP, he did very little with it. In fact, it was Bondic who picked it up in that last round of the half. He got 2 kills off the back of it here as well. We talked about World Edit. When he's really on form, he's really, really quite frightening here. But right now, I wouldn't say that's the case here. This round as well, I mean, it's just going to be the Tech 9, of course. He continues to save into it. Bondic as well, not playing a particularly special position. I mean, he's just playing on A or playing up a little bit closer in toilets in mid, but still managing to get plenty of kills back, and now already warning shots being fired over towards mousesports. Blade gets 2, and now Bondic on the spray down, but Chris J is there. There's Blade, though, as well. I mean, just sharing the kills around. 4 for him as he does come out of Underpass, and that's a very easily decimated mousesports, and now it's an even game.
And the thing is, all the UMP players then are actually allowed to take the kills, so they're actually going to make a little bit more of a robust economy starting to build up. And you look at the T side here, you've got an AWP coming out, you've got what they need. So this is a bit of a light investment, I guess. Well, it's not a light investment for what they have, that's all they have, but it's light on utility. It's not the best buy they could have gone for, but it's enough. This could be enough. But Bondic, again, so aggressive straight away. Are we listening out for steps? If we can just hear, he's just trying to hear these guys dropping through early. Backs away as he heard a couple of steps here and there, but there's Nico giving away a little bit of the game. Whenever Nico's there, you know they're going to be on the other side of the map, and Well did it. Whiffs the shot on Chris J. Already opens things up.
This is the thing. This is Well Did It having some problems here. Now, Bonic is actually able to push up on long, and if he feels safe enough, go for that AWP. But with mousesports sort of starting to work their way down, this might be a little bit risky. And it was actually a flash there on towards mousesports as they work their way in towards toilets here. So they're really just trying to secure this. Again, you're right. Nico over at B. Most of mousesports are going to be working the A side here. Now, Chris J surging forward, looking for a pick here, but most of Flipside are actually over towards B here. They may have to rotate back.
The weird thing is, the mousesports generally haven't been actually pushing up long. On the pistol round, they completely ignored it. Now they're actually going to put Spiddy there. So that's a nice little change. 3-1 play towards A. Markelov's come over, but Bondik's going to try and take a fight on long. The timing could be completely off on this, but actually, perfect control on the fire. Takes out Spiddy. Now the last 3, he knows that long's pretty much clear. He has the perfect lineup, and this is going to pull mousesports left, right, and center. If Markelov can just be a nuisance, Bondik can do great work. But now the nade comes out. Dennis goes low. Bondik isn't in the perfect spot, though, because he's got 22 HP, and Nico has had to come and deal with it.
That's right. So now Nico will be the man to step up here as well. Bondik will show through the smoke very soon. Good reaction, though, from Nico just to pick him up, and now he's going to press forward. Markelov sat behind truck. Famous managed to get a good nade off earlier on. Then he picks up Dennis. He has to trade that one in, but Flipside still staying vital for the moment, and even Nico can't press his way forward. But now the 1v1. We have Nex. He can get the bomb down, and he can smoke it up as well. Shara does have a kit as well, and he has the aim. Not really, as Nex is going to be able to pick him up as he does come through. Around the Flipside shouldn't really have lost there. I think they kind of messed up on long, and that was where Nico was able to push forward and get another frag on top.
Then again, Shara's only got 4 kills this game. So,
Man, yeah, it's so funny, because it kind of be like people were impressed by him given the expectation they recently placed, and now this. It's very, very hard to get a read on this player's caliber.
yeah, and it is difficult playing retake once the bomb's down, but it was a 1v1 in the end of the day, and it was a shot that you'd assume maybe Bondik would have hit, or someone else. But this is going to be a bit of a difference now. mousesports going all in towards B, and there's Shara finally getting the kill with the 5-7. It's felt like a lifetime in the making. Hasn't quite recovered the AWP just yet. Bit cautious on grabbing it. Hoping that nade would have just trickled it through to him, but there we go. Just about gets it with the very tips of his fingers. Re-smokes out towards Monster and backs away. Good stuff, though, in the end. A little panicked.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Mouse kind of gave that one over. Pushing Chris J so far forward, he was already playing above any implied smokes that were going to come in towards Monster, and he was caught out. Shara just had to spray away. The flash facilitated quite easily. Eventually for him to get that kill with the 5-7.
He got there.
That's all that matters really here now, as mousesports have been slowed right down. Losing the AWP again, Chris J. I don't know, though, if it works for him to go back to playing more passively here as well. I think he sort of needs to keep it up. It's catching Well Did It off a lot, but it's a double AWP now, of course. We've seen Markelov able to pick that one up, handed over by Shara. Good bloke, team player. But toilet block is pretty much left open here. With the amount of Flipside tactics players drawn in the direction of B earlier on, this has allowed mousesports to at least get this far. But as they round the corner, that's going to be where the issue is. And Bondik as well has just been a raid boss so far this game. He's going to be there. Well Did It. Definitely a little bit quieter, but with potential to pull out some really nice rounds on the flip of the coin. Blade, though. Nico, that is incredibly sharp, mate. Sharper than Blade, no doubt about it. Now he's going to press forward. Markelov, though, will catch him. Go for another one as well. That AWP being handled over by Shara, doing some serious work, but Spiddy catches him at long range with the CZ, and now mousesports surging forward. Not even Bondik can stop them as he tries to press out, and Shara is there. You're right, 7 seconds left. Spiddy has to plant, but Shara shuts him down.
I always get a little bit of butterflies when I see Markelov picking up the AWP. Just like, please do it.
Like the old days.
Please make it happen. Markelov, please just drop him. Well Did It. You don't need that. It's okay. But no, that was actually it was Nico keeping that round even interesting. I guess at that point, hitting that shot on the jump up. Someone trying to get information towards water, but well played in the end from Shara, I guess. Opening it and closing it. Even if it wasn't pretty, it got the job done. And it seems like a bit of a round they're going to be discussing as Nico's just chilling out in spawn. Like, okay, let's kind of talk this through. We're normally nuts on our T side. What's the difference here?
Yeah, I would definitely consider this an upset given recent events for Flipside. Blade and Bondik just reaving their way through mousesports now. Chris J actually gets on towards Well Did It there. So again, not a great round for him with that AWP. It's going to be dropped yet again. I think it'll be maintained here. Chris J actually, though, had stolen it away. Great name, Markelov. Brilliant. Chris now going to be looking in towards toilets. Flashed away. Bomb now just being sat on here by Flipside. They're going to try and hatch this one up. So Chris J is just going to have to take his sweet time there as well. A bit of a bait there going on. He misses that shot. And Bondik now able to come forward. He knows there's a bit of a reload cycle that he can capitalise on. Chris J got Blade, though. Catches him just towards that left off angle. And there's going to be falling to Markelov, who gets his AWP back. And he'll caress it lovingly into the next round as Flipside get that 1 round lead.
Yeah. actually kind of impressed with Flipside tactics so far. Again, kind of bolstering their numbers with Bondic being nutty, but still. Stop throwing the AWP near Markloff. I keep getting my hopes up. Stop it. Just don't make it happen. You know, it's like a band-aid. You've got to rip it off, and don't keep just like putting it back on a little bit every now and then.
It's got to be a clean break.
It has to be. It's messing with me. But we are going to see a bit of a Tech 9 round coming out next with the molly, smokes and such, but aggression could actually be overwhelmed here. Wildet needs to be careful. It's Markov who gets picked up. Wildet finds Dennis in the end, and the support comes out from Blade from Connector, catching out next. But now 3v3, they're doing a lot of damage here, but the stack's in the right place at the right time, and Nico.exe stopped working in that one.
Right, we're seeing stars completely flash there as well, and Blade actually not noticing the two mousesports players going over towards sandbags here, so that Spitty and Chris J are actually going to be able to get away from this one here as well. And it's going to be a little while until Flipside realise, because with Blade not seeing them come across, he would have to assume if they were going to back away, it would have been through Monster, and that might mess up the timing here. But Flipside are now responding. Bondic is going to be set up on A as well, and Spitty and Chris J don't have any utility to work with here as well, but they can plant this one easily enough here. Chris J just showing himself and dropping the bomb on top of the container as well. Good lord, so Spitty has to show, at least he has to jump up and actually get towards it. That is about as bad as it ever could possibly be for mousesports. Spitty will get Blade, but my god, just plant the bomb, bro. To be fair, look, to be fair, no utility that they had to actually secure their site, so you do have to check it, but it was unfortunate where that bomb landed up there. So.
It was actually very unfortunate. Christian and Nico starting to pick up their performance, I guess. But again, mousesports have been really good generally on their T side, but so far Flipside have got the first 3, which isn't too uncommon, I guess, but nice to see. And then only dropped 1 round so far in this, on this half, which is a very good record. And actually, Welded it. You better be ready for what's coming your way. You've got a lot of players. Finds Chris J. He might have even spotted the bomb there. Hence why he's backing away. Good counter flash to slow down the time. Allows him to readjust. But Nico's going to try and, you know, pull the strings elsewhere on the flip side, boys. Marklos watching the push. Blade's watching his cross. Blade does actually go for the information peek then. And look at Nico instantly predicting someone trying to work off the back of it. And he works out where maybe 3 players are now. So how do they read into the rest of this? Because Welded it's found Dennis, which is going to thin out the numbers now for mousesports.
Yeah, Welded its last couple of rounds have been a lot better. Very, very aggressive peek towards Sandbags last round. Yielded him a kill, and now he gets 2 on towards long. And he's shut down both AWP players as well. Dennis picked up Chris J's dropped rifle, and he will also fall to Welded there. So he's definitely silenced mousesports on that side of the map here. And this is dangerous. Flipside looking pretty strong now and might actually be getting their first win of the season. I only get too ahead of myself here now, as of course Nico still stands. Next has the bomb, and they are encroaching over towards B. Shara will be watching the push out of Monster, and Nico all too familiar with this particular play. For some reason, Flipside pushed into him last round, and they do it again. Shara goes down as he tries to come at Nico. Blade able to pick up next, though, but still Nico able to get up on towards his site now. There's a bit of smoke up, shots are coming through it. The bomb is down on the ground, needs to be scooped up quickly as Bondic picks up Spitty.
All right, Nico, what do you have here? Absolutely nothing. Good work in the end from World Edit again. Good stuff from him, and there's the pause. That has to be a tactical one from mousesports, even though maybe they could have gone for like an eco round and then paused. Doesn't, I guess you got to just call it where it is. But yeah, they need to discuss something here because they are not turning up, and it is actually confirmed now a tactical pause by Mouse.
I mean, let's look over this one as well. Bondic has been very, very strong as always on this map, but the last couple of rounds here we've seen World Edits get an extra 4 or 5 frags here as well. Blade has stepped up. And Chris J has died with the AWP, I'm going to say the last 3 times in a row, pretty early in the round. Yes, 2 rounds ago he had a Tech 9 and managed to actually make his way in towards B and then fell. But World Editor has shut him down the last couple times as well, and this is interesting to see now how Chris J's trying to wiggle his way around this one. He started off the map playing like an absolute freak of nature, really, getting super aggressive. Now, obviously, he has to come forward anyway on the T side, so you don't really have an element of surprise in peeking. It's like, well, yeah, of course you were going to peek. You have to come to us here. And he's being shut down, especially on long. And Nico, you know, that sole player over at B hasn't really been able to generate enough threat. But, you know, I found it really interesting last round, Lauren. Nico working his way through sandbags. Now, Flipside go for the information peek, and Nico almost gets 1 and almost 2 frags off it there as well. They wanted to peek into him, and Nico just wants you to do that. He wants you to come to him. He's more than happy to get a spray down and back away. And he's still been hard for Flipside to keep tabs on, but the rest of mousesports aren't really able to stand up in that particular way here. I mean, looking at Dennis, who, again, as I said, was really unimpressed with his performance yesterday. Nico cooked up some chivapta cheese on the barbecue earlier on, so he's had his share of chivapta cheese.
What is that?
They're the mini sausages, so Nico's had his fair share of sausage already now, and it's definitely some protein going into the game. Definitely helps with that concentration. Do you know what a chivapta cheese is?
No.
Look it up.
How am I meant to spell something that sounds like you sneezed?
Look, that's chivapta cheese. Look.
Oh,
See how he spells
so
it?
Nico tweeted it out.
Yeah,
and
he had some chivapta cheese.
it looks like a kind of sheikh kebab. You know?
It's a sausage. It's just like a weird sausage, like a small one. Sheikh kebab? I don't think it's the same.
It looks exactly like them. At least in Nico's picture. I'm glad we went into that real depth of analysis about sausages.
You want to get so deep into analysing these players, you know what they had for lunch. Then you're doing
there.
well.
All right.
Don't ask me about that, though. It's not my forte, but there you go. Now you know what Nico's eating.
Man. But let's be honest here. I guess if you looked at the stats alone, you wouldn't be surprised seeing Flipside doing well. But maybe not against mousesports. That's the difference. And especially when Welded is absolutely banging out shots like that, just bodying mousesports. But yeah, it is a very highly played map for Flipside. It's just, this is unreal. This is just like a shooting gallery. Just put a little target on a piece of paper and just like wheel it past at this point. Again, credit where it's due, and it's Flipside who's picking up the real wins here and just showing a great performance.
So now you have to wonder what it was the mousesports discussed before this round. Unlikely it was something they wanted to put into play on this particular round as they're going up against a full board in Flipside, and they have very, very little themselves to work with. But note that Nico and Spitty still have a fair bit of utility amassed here. They'd be wanting to flash themselves into this situation, but Blade and Markeloff, and there's a third player actually here as well in construction. So Flipside with all their pieces in the right place, and now 2 rounds away from taking this one away. mousesports would hate to be that one team that gives the map away to Flipside here, but it's important to know as well, as much as we talked about Flipside, they've only played 3 best-of-2s this season, right? Less than anyone else in the league. So they still have chances to bring these games back. Of course, they're eyeing off guys like First Pro, mousesports in some ways, looking at SK and teams like that as well, hoping to jump over them. They have plenty of games to do that as well.
Now this is the big one for Mouse. This is, their money's not great, and Flipside their bank's okay. They can drop out weapons for next round if they need to. Plays around 6k in this, so I'm a little worried for mousesports if I'm honest. These guys should be collecting these wins if I'm honest. Nico's going to smoke out towards CT cross if needs must. There it is. That goes down, and now here comes the push. Shara's been a bit of a wet blanket at this point, and Spitty fancies even taking down Nico. He wants to make it a little bit more difficult for themselves, and they're starting to flounder. The molly's going to come in, and Spitty's so low at this point. Next is trying to bolster the numbers and bring it back into their favor. Now down to Welded and Bondic. Bondic is on the long rotate.
mousesports have played ahead of these smokes quite well, so they can now position up after the bomb going down. Well, it's not going to have much to fire at all, and it's actually going to have to be Bondic to come forward here, and he does. He cuts 2 down there. Spitty was super low. Spitty shouldn't even have shot his teammate in the first place, but that's okay. Chris J now as well going down to him, and Bondic again, just a freaking beast. Him and World 2 of the biggest players for Flipside here, holding on.
Now, Bondic has a truckload of utility, and he doesn't get to use it. The flick from Nex is insane. World Edit pushes, and World Edit should just have enough time.
Look, he said Shara's been a wet blanket this game. I mean, to be fair, he has that unenviable job, all right? He has to watch the push out of Monster.
Well, Nico plays that normally.
My point.
Let's compare how that's gone so far.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. He's playing up against Nico almost pound for pound every single time. That's a big ask. Now, it's the replay. So Shara gets cut down. Let's see what happens here. Spitty just loses his nerve. I guess it's a bit hard when you have to filter out a monster
Nico, you're
like
meant
that.
to be carrying.
But I mean, yeah, well, exactly. But you take down Nico and you go super low in the process. So, I mean, it happens. It's an honest mistake, but that's the reason why mousesports lost that round. I'm almost certain of it.
I wouldn't be too shocked. Nice waste of a molly. Just gifted over.
Just wants to hear that. It was 99 cents. Oh, never mind.
Wow. Wow.
Just thought of it in my head at the time.
Oh, you're a special boy. But this is the one. Flipside could pick up the map here. This, Chris, don't do it. We've already had enough team kills. Don't take down Nico because he's not carrying you right now, all right? Just power on Chris. We were singing this guy's praises because he was absolutely sick on their CT side. I want to see a bit more of this.
He's just trying to thrive on chaos right now as well. It's super hard to thrive on chaos because when you're peeking corners like a madman as well, your success rate is not supposed to be that high. Unless you're JW and you're a freak. Chris J trying to emulate some of that, which worked really well on Dust yesterday, but here, time for Shower again to meet his maker.
And he meets it pretty much head on. Chris J is going to find Shara, and this is the step towards the site. They've lost out on very little, finding this cross and this entrance. Blade's going to get picked up. Nico comes into it. Good flash then, but Chris J just seemingly not caught by it. Will manage to power through, so now 5v2. This is a very good take, well constructed, well placed, and almost similar positions to prior times. Bondic around the back here, gets the tag, doesn't quite get the kill to follow up. Nate should do the job, and it does.
Nice.
Right into the pocket of Nex, and now 2v3.
Again, Bondic World Edit back-to-back the last few rounds have got Flipside this close, and now World Edit presses forward with the 5-7. He's going to be looking for Nico on the side. He can't quite get across to him there. And mousesports are going to keep themselves in this one, but only just. Again, Shara, a weak link here on the B side for Flipside. He's been run over a couple of times here. Let's see if Flipside can bolster this one up as well. This is old mate Chris J. Not much smoke there for Blade, to be fair.
Nice replay. But the one thing I do want to say is this has bought them time. They've reset the economy now for Flipside, which is good, so Mouse can possibly look towards overtime, but still it feels like you can't make a singular mistake, and they've been just kind of picking up where they left off here. But for me, like, again, I want to see World Edit maybe do what I've kind of put into the category of what the likes of big AWPers do is do this, the variety. Play around the map. Don't just leave your standard spot in the standard place. This is a nice little boost. Oh, checking the counter boost there. Really nice. But yeah, I want him to do a device. Start checking around the map himself.
Yeah. Variety is the spice of life, but no one wants to eat just a chili for dinner. You need a little bit more than that.
Alex is quite a spicy man.
He's spicy.
Yeah.
And World Edit are going to miss that one there as well. Not enough habanero behind that shot. It's going to be marked off though. Finds Dennis, and now he'll press forward further, looking towards underpass. He's at least seen the player there as well. And next, going to have to give up some ground here. And even Nico trying to test. World Edit though has found Chris J. Now that was he was trying to press through Monster. And it's going to need to be smoked by Nico if he wants to cross and pick up that bomb here. So Flipside have been able to stunt the momentum of mousesports here. They're only working with a few pistols, so that's probably the more interesting part of it now. Is Nex deals with World Edit. He's probably the scariest guy there, the only guy with a proper gun. As it all will be dropped, I'd say Bondic should step forward and pick that one up if he can. And now even try testing on towards A as well here. Mousesports trying to spread Flipside over the map, and it will be Blade to respond.
Kind of scary it's getting this close though. This was like a full bought mouse and they're down to a 3v3. Yep. They shouldn't be losing these sort of rounds, and they shouldn't even allow Blade to be doing this sort of work. He's buying time perfectly, bearing in mind he will eventually go down, but that's down to 9 seconds now. Where is that bomb gonna go down?
If they plant for toilet, this push could be quite interesting there. No, next shots are down. Okay, so coming out of underpass would have been interesting for Flipside, but now Bondic is just going to save the AWP there. I think it was actually bought up by World Edit in this round. He's the only guy who actually bought it. I don't think he saved it.
I think that was dropped in by Markov, if I'm honest. And then this one was recovered from one of the T side, maybe. So Nico should, in theory, have that one. Yeah, so they swapped.
Yep. So trying to play around that one AWP bought up for Flipside. World Edit did manage to get himself one there. But when push came to shove, mousesports managed to just keep 3 players up here. And Nico, again, having to lift. And I say having to because it's purely by necessity here. He's getting himself a little bit more involved in a lot of these fights. And they're almost, we're seeing extra B presence here for mousesports because I want to play off Nico perhaps a little bit more.
And I feel kind of bad again. Dennis isn't having a big play, is he? He even seemed
last couple
frustrated.
of days been average.
Yeah, he seemed frustrated himself at how he was playing. It's kind of annoying when you're in these situations. You're like, okay, guys, we can build, and then you're having a bad game. Obviously, it's a mental game to break out of that for him. And he's not even playing like super bad. It's just like this is Dennis. He was meant to be, quite a sick player, but he's just been a little bit quiet compared to all the others, really. Because like Nex, Nico, and Chris J, there's your core 3. But here we go, back into this one. A good buy coming out from Flipside, barring maybe Blade here, but already Blade trying to get some info early on. Markov getting a little bit present towards short. Blade peers down, doesn't see anything pushing through either. And mousesports with quite a passive start here.
Dennis being forced back by the Molotov there, laid down by Blade. There was a smoke close by to him in underpass, so not willing to take any chances here as there was a flash going over on towards B, more towards Shara than anyone else. And again, he's going to be tested here, so I'm curious to see how he sets up for this one, if he can actually aid himself with a flash or some utility to get the mowdown we actually saw once this game already from him on the CT side. Because when he can get, one, in fact, just one kill as they try and push through, the odds are far better for Flipside. Problem is, Shara normally getting mowed down by Chris J or Nico pushing at the front, getting a headshot.
50 seconds, though. Mouse have been playing these rounds pretty much the last couple of seconds recently. Problem is that when they're at a player disadvantage, this could be a problem. Markov almost connecting towards Dennis, then coming through connector. And it looks like a late hit towards B, but the problem is look how many players from Flipside are already here. And they're not going to leave enough time for a good rotate at this point. If it gets turned to around 20 seconds, they're going to have to commit. And here we go, the mollies go out. Shara's going to turn the flash, gets the perfect lineup. Nico finally goes down to Shara's hand. This is a big start for him. He will be traded out in the end, but now mousesports missing some of that venom that they've been taking towards these sites.
I'm happy for Shara to trade 1-for-1 there. That's fine. Now, next pushing forward, a lot of smoke up on their side here as well. And next able to stay alive. This actually might facilitate a bomb. Partners through the smoke. He's not able to quite get the kill. And Dennis takes down Spitty. Bit of confusion here for mousesports in a very crucial round. Yes, they get the bomb down, but Dennis is going to be spotted out. And next only has 4 points of health left. He will be put out of his misery as well. On Flipside are going to get what I'm going to safely call an upset here against mousesports. And some big mistakes on this, previously vaunted T side of mousesports is going to give away the game.
Dennis instantly off that server, just not a game for him. And what a way to be played out. You'd say at the very start of this, Flipside would probably prefer this map. It's a map that they enjoy, but would it then keep up to the caliber of mousesports? Hard to tell. There has been some outstanding performances from Flipside, but they're one-offs, you'd say. You know, they're the exception, they're not the rule in that regard.
Yes.
Whereas mousesports have been a little here and there, but they are picking up victories, and they are generally aiming at higher tier teams.
Exactly, and you say they're aiming at higher tier teams. A lot of the stats for Flipside, if you want to look back at their maps on HLTV or whatever, they're quite good for Overpass and Cobblestone, especially.
Yes.
They're 9-3 in the last 3 months, but bear in mind this is a team that plays tier 2 as well as tier 1 games quite frequently as well. They get plenty of game time, and now they're going to be ramping up. We're going to see a lot more of them in the Pro League over the coming weeks, and this is a good start for them now after a little bit of a break. You know, earlier today they've been playing the Malmo qualifiers, not been ideal. Ancient did give them a slacking, but at least they're back and they're putting another map back on the board. Let's pass it over towards our experts and break this one down.
Thanks very much, you two. It's going to have to be a quick one, though, as that one really could have been going into overtime. mousesports had an opportunity. Fortunately, Flipside managed to take it away from them. Yeah. But, I mean, the first words out of your mouth as that 16 appeared on the board was, well, they deserve it. They were the better team.
Yeah, no, they really were, and well, both teams have this thing about themselves when they play the T side that they're very static in what they do. Yeah, that's something that just goes for Flipside on pretty much every single map. And you saw how well Chris J was able to disrupt that from Flipside on their CT side, right? Yeah. Getting that aggressive first peak. I think mousesports got the opening frag of probably around 11. 12 times out of...
And Chris was like 8 of them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they were doing good things off of them. Eventually, they started losing grip and actually lost rounds where they were playing with an advantage, similar to what SK did yesterday versus NIP on Mirage. And that's something, obviously, again, we come back to these small mistakes, right? That you have to know how to play properly. That's not a small
mistake, that's a big mistake.
Well, true. It's a big mistake, but it's a very easy fix in that sense.
Yeah.
You just have to be more level-headed in those type of situations to not give up your advantage.
And a really good team that are capable of often do that is NIP, a team that rarely throw those situations away, in contrast to, like you said, we saw coming out in from mousesports.
Yeah, and having that experience and being level-headed enough in a heated moment to make the right decision. And that, obviously, it takes time, but it's a pretty easy step to get into the right direction. As for the T side of mousesports, kind of the same thing we saw last time they played Overpass. It's the 4 of mousesports here and Nico leaning towards B, sitting outside, seeing if he can get anything done. Problem is, whenever they do this, and they do this on other maps as well, it feels like there's no real plan for what the group of 4 is doing for mousesports. Sure, they're getting map control, but
so there's no actual structure to it. It's more like it's more of okay, we wait here, hold angles, I guess, throw a couple of nades, push it, trying to get towards control.
Yeah, well, let's get towards restroom and then just kind of hang out and see if Nico gets 2 or 3.
Like eyes on the watch, like, okay, Nico, you've got about 20 more seconds, mate. How you doing?
Yeah,
anything.
That's the feeling you sit with when you watch them play. And the problem as well is that even though you're sending these 4 people out to do not that much, except for, well, map control is big, but not do anything super constructive right off the bat. They also run into the issue that when World Edit is opping on long or Bonding is playing aggressively and they get picked off, they get even more clueless as to what to do. And at a certain point, they got picked off so many times, and it was the same story as Flipside encountered on their T side. Playing with one man down all the time, they just ran out of ideas, so they stopped moving towards A in total. So at a certain point, you saw Flipside more or less playing with 4 people on B, and not even having World Edit with the op playing on
Bondic,
A long.
right?
Yeah, it was Bondic all by himself. And to be fair, Bondic was playing for about 3 or 4 players at that game. He was an absolute beast. But on the CT side as well, you saw I think World Edit had 6 or 7 frags after the first half, and ended up with 20+. So he had obviously an excellent CT half as well. But you could tell how easy it was for Flipside to actually figure out what mousesports were doing for the better part, because eventually mousesports just gave up on A.
A growing trend, it seems, that some teams are falling into a stale T side. And actually, at that point, Flipside had the perfect read, stacking up on B and finding the win. The first win of the ESL Pro League for Flipside Tactics. It was much needed. The score may be 1-0, but also there's an application you should check out with a very familiar name. The Score Esports application. Go ahead and grab that right now as we do take 5. It's available for not only your news and staying up to date on the scene, but also statistics of this very league and more. So go check that out. We'll be back in 5 with Cobblestone.